I will definitely have it ready for you by then. You can find us everywhere. We're on iTunes.apple.com. We're on Stitcher. We're on SoundCloud now. We're on SoundCloud now. Though we'll have to add this particular episode to SoundCloud, but we are available. We have previous episodes available on SoundCloud. We are also available, of course, on their Instagram, Facebook. So there's no excuse not to be able to find us. None whatsoever. We are everywhere on this the Real Deal podcast. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Considering it's July 22nd, and this is normally a dead period in the world of sports. Um, there's a lot going on in sports and pop culture, in particular in what transpired in New York City, in Brooklyn last night. We'll get to that later in the program. But we're going to begin with Eldrick, Tiger Woods, who came up a bit short in his bid for a 15th major. He finishes five under, tied for sixth place at the British Open. I really felt like coming off. He shoots. So yesterday he shoots. Excuse me. On Saturday he goes five under, comes in. Comes into the fourth round, final round, basically tied for third. I thought to myself, if Jordan Spieth did not go crazy in the final round, didn't light up the course, that I really thought that Tiger had a chance to win this tournament. And we get to the 10th hole, to the 11th hole. Through 10, Tiger was 7 under, had a one shot lead. And I'm saying to myself, he's going to win this tournament. He's going to win this tournament. There's no question in my mind. The way things were breaking, nobody else was doing it. No one else was impressive up to that point. Nobody else was. Again, Spieth was the guy that I was focusing in on. I don't trust McIlroy. McIlroy cannot, even though McIlroy played relatively well in the final round. He can't make putts at this stage in his career. In big spots, McIlroy just can't make key putts. So I didn't feel confident that he would be able to finish. Spieth was the guy who I was concerned, as a Tiger fan, was most concerned about. I didn't see Francisco Molinari. Didn't see him coming from a mile away. He just, again, he basically just watched everybody else fall apart, and he was just the steady rock and ended up winning the tournament. But Tiger, he comes on the 11th hole with a one-shot lead, double bogeys. Then you go double bogey, bogey, tournament. It was game over at that point. So he goes from 7 over. He goes from 7 under to 4 under, and that was the tournament. He had one birdie after that, after the 12th hole, one birdie in the next 6 holes, and was not a threat to win the tournament. After that, going 3 over after going 3 over in the 11th and 12th hole. And there are two schools of thoughts here with Tiger. First of all, I give him a lot of credit for fighting in this tournament. He could have the first couple of rounds. If you didn't see the first couple of rounds, there were chances, there were numerous opportunities that he could have just fell apart in this tournament. He fought to be even, gave himself a puncher's chance. Again, he was six shots off the lead, coming into the third round, moving day. So I thought, he'll be competitive. I don't think he's going to win it, but he gave him a shot. And you never know with golf. I mean, leads can change at the drop of a hat within a hole. You just never know in golf, especially at the British Open. You just want to, British Open, U.S. Open, where the course could be and the weather could be major factors. You just want to be within striking distance, because there are dramatic changes of lead changes in those particular majors, due to how tough the courses are with the U.S. Open, due to the weather conditions and the rough, depending on where they're playing at in terms of the British Open. So he goes out there, plays great on Saturday, and comes into Sunday, and came into Sunday as confident as he has ever been. Not ever been, but as confident that he has been in this comeback, and really in the last 5 or 6 years. He finishes in the top 10 in a major for the first time in 5 years. And again, two schools of thoughts with Tiger Woods. Number one, that he's improving, he's building. This is only going to lead to him possibly winning a major if he keeps improving and keeps improving and keeps and stays healthy, which is the most important thing is for him to stay healthy. The second school of thought is this might have been, and I might lean towards this particular way of line of thinking, that this might have been his best chance to win a major. And I say this because no other golfer in this tournament to me played was dominant. I mean, Francisco Molinari won this thing almost to me by not by default. He made at one point in the tournament. I thought he believe he had made like 10 straight pars. He was steady. He was just steady. He just didn't make mistakes, which is half the battle when you think about it in golf. Is not making mistakes. So you give him a lot of credit from that standpoint of staying away from the bad, from a hole, from a double bogey, from a triple bogey, staying away from even a bogey for that matter. So give Molinari credit from that standpoint. But you didn't have that transcendent performance like McIlroy can give you, Dustin Johnson, what we've been seeing out of the guy that's won 2 straight U.S. Open, Kepka. So there were guys, and again, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, those guys didn't make the cut. I told you what I thought about Spieth. Spieth was the one guy that concerned me, being a Tiger fan. Everybody else, you had other guys like Zach Johnson and Matt Kuchar that were in the mix. But to me, this was tailor made for Tiger to win. You had a bunch of guys who up on top of the leaderboard, a majority of them that had never won a major. Some of these guys you knew who were at top of the leaderboard or tied for the lead coming into the third, fourth round. You knew they were going to fall apart in the final round. These guys, you knew these guys like Shuffleman and some of the other guys. I can look at some of the other names, Shuffley and some of the other guys that came in the mix. That some of these other not no name guys, but some of these other guys that have not won majors, they were not going to close the deal. That's to me. I watched enough majors to see brand new guys who are new to major championship golf as far as competing in the final round, having a lead, a co-lead. Those guys tend to fall apart at a major when they're trying to win their first major. So I took those guys out of the mix. The only guy that I was concerned about was Jordan Spieth. Because Spieth could go out there and shoot a 65 easily. He can go out there and dominate a course. He's a great putter. We know he's the best putter in the world. And he's a guy who, has won majors. This guy is a four-time, this guy, has won, 3 or 4 majors, I believe 4 majors. So he knows what it takes to win. He's won multiple majors. He knows what it takes. So with him kind of struggling, and he was terrible. Spieth ended up shooting a 76. He was awful in this final round. I was really surprised how poorly he played. I said this is wide open for Tiger Woods, wide open, and this has been, and Tiger was not able to finish. Again, it was 2 holes that did him in. The 11th hole, the 11th and 12th hole, where he goes from 7 under to 4 under in 2 holes, and again, that was the tournament. That was it. But again, I give Tiger Woods a lot of credit for not falling apart after the first or second round. He putted well. He drove the ball. He for the most part, up until the back nine, really up until the back nine, he was able to control his driver as far as driving the ball. And he at one point he was the leader in terms of fairways hit. So he played good enough to win. He played good enough to win, to be, to keep himself and to give himself a chance, but he just could not finish down the stretch. In particular in the last 6 or 7 holes, and he comes up short in terms of winning that elusive 15th major. Now, again, as long as he stays healthy, I can see him being in contention in these majors. He has to be feeling confident about where his game is right now. He's healthy. You want to, again, he is the only thing going for golf right now, as far as I'm concerned. As far as why you watch these tournaments, especially why you watch these majors. Let's be honest. I do this for a living, so I watch all the majors. But again, the casual fan is not watching Jordan Spieth. The casual fan is not watching, checking for Dustin Johnson or Justin Thomas or Kepka. The casual Tiger Woods is still the number one draw by far and away for the casual sports or golf fan. So from that standpoint, for the sport of golf, you can't. It is tremendous that Tiger Woods is in the position to where he can compete for the majors, not to necessarily win a major, but at least be competitive, where he has a chance in the final round to win a major. Again, I don't know where this is going to lead for the rest of the year. He still has the PGA Championship. He may get a wild card in terms of the Ryder Cup. Right now, he's not qualified in terms of having enough accumulated points, but he could be a captain's choice. There have been some talk about that, possibly. I don't know, because there's so many great young, especially in particular American golfers, that if you left Tiger off, that wouldn't be nobody. I don't think Tiger would. I don't think you could complain, even if you're the biggest Tiger fan, for leaving Tiger Woods off the Ryder Cup. So you have the PGA Championship, you still have the playoffs, you have the Ryder Cup, you have those things going on for the rest of the golf season. Again, Tiger Woods comes up short in his bid for a 15th major. Francisco Molinari wins the British Open. He becomes the first Italian to win a major championship. Rory McIlroy continues his major drought in terms of he hasn't won a major since 2014, and is frankly just wasting his talent. I mean, it's why how McIlroy hasn't won a major in 4 years is beyond me, considering that he really hasn't had any major catastrophic injuries. But right now he's in a major drought, to say the least, as far as majors goes. Jordan Spieth is just, he's going to be, this guy is just like a machine. Like, he's going to be in the mix for the majority of these majors. He's always going to be in the mix. So you expect Jordan Spieth to win at least, I would say, 3 to 4 more majors over the course of his career. He'll reach 7 to 8 majors without question. In my book, he'll reach that number. It's just a matter of when. Still only 24, 25 years old. So there you go. In terms of the British Open, Tiger Woods comes up short as far as winning that elusive 15th major. This is the Real Deal Podcast. A lot going on in the world of sports and pop culture, and we're gonna go to what certainly will be the biggest story in terms of hip hop culture, and that is Tekashi 6ix9ine, rapper out of Brooklyn, a guy who has made a lot of noise recently with, off stage, and not in terms of his bars, but in terms of what he's been doing with Twitter and trolling, and it finally, unfortunately, caught up with him on Saturday, where he was kidnapped, robbed, and knocked unconscious by 3 gunmen who kidnapped him at his home, took him, and not only did they take it, not only did they take $750,000 worth of cash, $750,000 worth of jewelry. They took $20,000 in terms of cash out of his house, his home in Brooklyn. Now a couple of things. Luckily, he was not. His injuries were not serious. They weren't fatal, and nor the mother of his daughter or his daughter were hurt. His daughter and his mother, both Tekashi's daughter, in the house during the robbery. So whoever the gunmen were, they were so focused in on getting the money, which they ended up doing, getting the money and jewelry, that they didn't, even pay attention to the fact that they, that his wife, not his wife, but his daughter and his girlfriend, I'm assuming that's his girlfriend, were both in the house during the robbery. He jumped out of the car and was able to get to a hospital. TMZ had the pictures, had the story, had the pictures. and had the pictures. And I think TMZ broke this story earlier this afternoon. Here's what I'll say about Tekashi 69. I don't listen to Tekashi 69. He's only what 21, 22 years old. He's become real popular in the past year or so. Especially, I mean, he's had like a couple of hits on the Billboard charts. I saw the interview he had on the Breakfast Club about, I want to say March. I want to say late March. And Charlemagne was grilling him about his lifestyle and what he was saying, and him challenging, Bloods and Crips, and him calling out people, telling him to suck his dick and stuff. And like he was, talking all kinds of shit to real gangsters, real people, real cats out here who are about that life. And he's clearly not about that life. And he said, and he doesn't even pretend to be. Like, he pretends to be, but he knows that he's not about that life. He's having fun. And I remember that interview, and it was an hour long interview. It was a well publicized interview. 13 million people have viewed the interview on YouTube. So probably, I'm sure, I think it might be the Breakfast Club's most viewed interview. Maybe second to Birdman, but maybe it's up there in the top two or three of all time in terms of how many people viewed the interview. And I remember Charlemagne grilling him. You can say what you want about Charlemagne, but Charlemagne say, "Look, man, you out here, you're gonna get touched. You're gonna get touched. There's no question. It's just a matter of time. You're gonna get touched." And when I saw this again, thankfully, he was not. You know, this wasn't fatal. We've seen things like this go on where he doesn't die. It wasn't killed. But if you're Takashi 69, I don't know what other message. I, I don't know if you know, I don't know what else can you do as far as not wanting to turn your life around. I don't know what else it will take in terms of you seeing that what words have power. And there's always, think about this. You're a public figure. You're entertainment, sports. There is jealousy even without negative energy that you put out. You could put out negative energy and not say a word, and people could still be jealous of what you have in terms of the cars you drive, in terms of how much money you have, in terms of you being, your popularity. There's always, I mean, there have been a number of athletes in the last 4 or 5 years that have gotten robbed who didn't say anything in the media as far as trying to like promote themselves, or as far as trying to talking out their ass, saying some of the stuff that he was saying. And the scary part about this is it happened at his house, so they know it. So the gunmen know where you live at. That I mean, that is a violation. As far as somebody robbed, it's one thing to be robbed, but to be robbed, that's an invasion. To be robbed at your house at gunpoint with your daughter and girlfriend in the house. Again, if this doesn't get his attention, nothing else will. I mean, to me, if this doesn't get his attention, that tells me he has a day. He wants to die. So hopefully, for his sake, this will get him on the right track as far as you know you don't. I feel like I don't listen to his music, but I feel like from people I've talked to, from stuff that I've read, I feel like he has enough talent to where he does not have to be a caricature of himself, and doesn't have to do all these antics to get attention through trolling, Instagram, Twitter, and all this stuff. I understand it's a new world in terms of social media. A lot, a lot of guys, a lot of rappers out there are, say stuff that's not true. But think about this. If you're a hip hop fan of, like, if you're around my age, okay, I'm approaching 40. Hip hop, the essence of hip hop is bragging about things that you may not have: money, cars, houses. I'm the best rapper. I get the most girls. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with bragging about that stuff. I'm balling. Whatever. That's cool. That is harmless. That's harmless. Okay, that's fine. But when you start talking, when you start going after gang, like challenging Crips and Bloods and testing and trying dudes who are really about that life, why? For what? Again, dudes that are out there, real gangsters out there, have no respect for this dude. None. They have no respect for him because they know he's not about that life. They know he's not about that life. Okay. There's a reason why 50 Cent, who who was also in the news this weekend, there's a reason why 50 Cent, you haven't heard about 50 Cent getting robbed since he got shot back in the day. Because 50 Cent was actually in the streets like that. He was actually about that. He was actually like I mean, you try to rob 50 Cent, you might get shot. Messing with 50 Cent. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. I know, and again, 50 Cent is doing power now. He's developed more. He's more of a celebrity than he is an artist. I know he still makes music, but for the most, look, we know 50 Cent for power right now. We don't know him for. We don't think. He's come out with a couple songs. Um, he's come out with a couple songs, all in terms of off the power, not power soundtrack, but in terms of making music for power. But for the most part, 50 Cent he's doing television stuff. He has a production, doing production, has a production company. You see in 50 Central, you see in BMF. He's doing his own thing from that standpoint. Music at this point in his career is secondary. But you're not gonna hear stories. I doubt that you will ever hear a story about 50 Cent being robbed or somebody trying 50 Cent because they know he's about that life. Or was about that life. And at the drop of a hand, could always go back to being what he once was. In terms of if you pull up on him, again, you might catch a bullet. That's just the reality of the situation. Clearly, no one. These three guys had zero fear of Takashi 6ix9ine. Thinking to themselves, well, if we try to rob him, is he gonna have a bodyguard? Is he gonna be carrying a gun? There was no trepidation. There was no trepidation. This was a well planned, organized, you know, kidnapping slash robbery. And again, the scary part is for Takashi 6ix9ine is it happened at your house. Like you at this point feel like you can't. I feel like you have to get out. You have to get out that house now. I feel like you have to move. Not out of Brooklyn. Brooklyn's I think is the biggest borough in New York, and in one of the biggest cities in the country. So there are plenty of nice places to live in Brooklyn now. I mean, they've redone Brooklyn in terms of building houses and stuff, and when the Nets came back, NBA came back to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn, there's still certain Brooklyn. It's in pockets in terms of nice places to live in Brooklyn. You can find a nice place to live in Brooklyn. But again, hopefully he turns his life around. I don't know. Of course, I don't know him, but I wish the best for him. As somebody, I don't have. Again, I'm not one. Just because I don't listen, just because I don't mess with your music, and just because I respect once you get to that level to where you're a professional, to where you can put out music that can reach the Billboard charts, Billboard 100 charts. You have to respect that from that standpoint, whether you like his music or not. But again, gangster rap is over. That's not paying bills. It's not, you don't, that era is gone by. That era is done. The gangster rap era ended years ago. These corporations, these companies they're not gonna be messing with you. They're not gonna mess with you like that if you feel that you're drawing that type of attention to yourself. Period. 7 minutes after the midnight hour on this now 23rd of July 2018. This is the Real Deal Podcast. Um, I mentioned 50 Cent. Listen, I'm not going to go heavy into the 50 Cent Floyd Mayweather. It's hilarious to me that two dudes can just love and hate each other. Again, my personal opinion is this is all orchestrated between Floyd and 50 Cent. Floyd hasn't fought since, I want to say, the McGregor fight. So Floyd hasn't fought since the McGregor fight. 50 Cent is in the news because he'll always be in the news, relevant because of power. But again, 50 Cent does stuff to get our attention. 50 Cent has a lot of LeBron in him. Like, he wants us paying all attention to him at all times. So he's a media hound. Um, Again, I think this is orchestrated, to be honest with you. Because don't be surprised if a month from now you see him hugged up at the Triple G Canelo fight. Please don't be surprised if you see him buddy buddy again, smiling on Instagram. Jokes on you, we got y'all again. But some of the stuff, man, I mean, it's I mean, some of the stuff that come out, the verbal jazz between these two, some of the stuff is hilarious. Again, 50 Cent he craves this. He lives on Instagram. He lives on these social networks, Twitter. Um, Floyd Mayweather. Nobody really had been talking about Floyd for the last couple of months, outside of when the Forbes magazine richest athletes came out, and we saw how much money that we saw that he's the richest athlete in the world again. So other than that, I don't think anybody had been really talking about Floyd like that because he hadn't fought in almost a year. So you had to do something, you have to do something to keep your name in the media, keep your name in our mouths. You know, TMZ stay in the limelight. So what do? You start a verbal altercation. You take verbal shots at a guy who has one of the most popular shows on television right now, right in the midst of their season of power. So this is orchestrated by those two. Um, Knowing who they are, this is all to me orchestrated. I don't believe there's any real life animosity between those two. I don't care if there is. If there is, so be it. But to me, this is all orchestrated by those particular two. A couple other things you got going on. One thing I wanted to bring this up because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast this evening. I read something on Saturday that really bothered me Saturday morning. Going through the news articles and just checking out things, what's going on. So, down in Florida, another black man was shot because of the stand your ground law. So I'm gonna give context to this story if you didn't see it. It was I believe at a Home Depot down in Florida. I believe it was even down in Florida, maybe Tampa. I believe it was Tampa, Florida. I know for sure it was Florida. So a man comes in with his girlfriend and two kids. They drive to Home Depot. They're in Home Depot. She's in the car. The girlfriend, I believe the girlfriend was in the car. Um, Now, I believe the two kids were either with him in Home Depot or maybe the two kids were not even at the store, were not even around. But I know for a fact that the girlfriend was in the car. The girlfriend's 24 years old. The man was 28. He's in Home Depot. Another man pulls up, white man who age 47 pulls up. She's parked in a handicap spot. And for whatever reason, I'm assuming that I want to speculate that the guy wanted to, maybe had a disability, and she's parked in the spot, in the one handicap spot that was available. So they're arguing. She's in the car. He's standing. The guy is standing out. The guy is standing outside of the car. So the younger guy comes out of the Home Depot, pushes I don't know whether he said nothing or not. It's on video. You go to I put the link up on my Facebook page. You can check it out on video. He immediately pushes the guy down, and pushes him hard. This wasn't a gentle push. It wasn't like a slap on the wrist or a love tap. This is a hard push. Again, white guy, 47 years old, yeah, black man, 28 years old. Guy gets pushed. He pulls out a gun, pop, and the younger guy stumbles back into the store holding his stomach, and later on dies. Father to girlfriend, witnesses the whole thing. The whole thing was on video, and up until this point, the guy gets away with it because of the stand your ground law, the same law that contributed to Tavon Martin not being here, no longer here with us about 6 years ago in 2012. So, a couple things here when I saw this. Number one, a 47-year-old and a 28-year-old should be able to hash out an issue without a push or without pulling out a gun. That's number one. And you I don't know what was said to the girlfriend that just drove the younger man to push to without even saying anything, without even confronting him through with his verbally, just automatically go at this dude and push him on the ground. With that being said, you're going to a Home Depot carrying a gun. Like what, you know, like even if I owned a gun, per se, and I don't own a gun or any machetes, nothing like no deadly weapons no weapons of that ilk. But what has to be your mindset to carry a gun going to a Home Depot? Are you looking to shoot somebody? Are you expecting trouble? Again, I don't advocate guns or carrying a firearm. I understand the Second Amendment. I get it. I'm not going to even get into my thoughts on getting into the whole gun argument or should guns be illegal. So that's a whole nother conversation. To be honest with you, that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there as far as I don't even want to get into that right now. I don't even have time for that. My point is, when does it get to a point to where, as a black man, I see this in Florida, stand your ground. I see what's going on with cops killing black men and attacking black people in general. When does it get to a standpoint to where we, black men, or black people in general, just say, you know what? I need to be prepared for this type of stuff. Like I need to be trained. Like if I'm going to go out, I'm not going to be a punching bag, or you're not going to play target practice on me in terms of shooting me. Like I wonder, what would have been the situation had, how much different that situation would have been if the younger guy also would have pulled out a gun and be like, all right, hold on, we can talk, but listen, I'm not going out like this. You got your gun, I have my gun. Okay. How much different would that situation have been? Maybe they killed each other. That's definitely a possibility. I'm not thinking. I don't have a solution per se. I'm not trying to. I'm just giving you just giving my take on this. I don't have a solution for it. Because really, guns are never going to be banned. That's just not going to happen. There's some gun laws that need to be tweaked. There's some things that everybody shouldn't be. Some I can get into how I feel. Some things that could be altered and changed about gun laws. But to me, this is not even about. This isn't even about guns per se. This is more about the law and how and why this particular law is acceptable considering what transpired with Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin. Like, we are allowed to alter and change laws. And again, I'm telling you right now, if I lived in Florida, I probably more than as a black man, I probably would have to. And this is why I would never move to Florida. I probably would have to carry a gun. I'm not. I'm dead serious. I probably would have to carry a gun just for my own safety, for my own livelihood, for my own, frankly, for my own peace of mind. Considering the type of stuff that's going on down there with this stand your ground with this stand your ground law, or if I'm in a state that has a stand your ground law, because every state doesn't have it. If I live in a state with a stand your ground law, I'm in the way it is in 2018. I'm probably gonna have to get a gun. That's just the way it is. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. I don't even like guns, but to me, it's getting to a point to where and I mean we as black men and black women and blacks in general, we have to be ready. We're gonna just have to be ready for anything at this point. Yeah, we can have conversations, what to do, what not to do when a cop pulls us over. But I feel like you know, I feel like somebody is less likely to come at you if they know that they possibly can be taken out too. I feel like the percentages will go down a bit. It won't stop it completely, but the percentages might go down. Like, if a cop says, "Man, if I really put my hands on this dude might probably this dude might put some hands on me as well." Now again, it doesn't solve anything. That doesn't solve. I'm not saying I had my solution of me defending myself against a cop is going to solve it. It may get me killed. It possibly could get me killed if I do defend myself. But what's the difference between defending myself and getting killed and not defending myself and getting killed? You tell me the difference. That's where we're at in 2018, unfortunately. That's where I mean that is the reality of being a black man or somebody or a black woman in America in 2018. That's where we're at. So check out that article. I'm going to be keeping up with that story. I'm going to see what I'm sure some more stuff is going to come out. I might talk about it on a future podcast. Sure, if new details break out about it, I'll post some stuff about it. Again, it is just a troubling story that that's happening far too often in this country, especially in these stand your ground states. Florida has been in the headlines for a number of years with this. So we'll see what transpires with that. Over the weekend, not over the weekend, but of course on Friday you had DeMar DeRozan. You have Kawhi Leonard finally being moved. I want to say Thursday or Friday. These days, being on vacation these days just have run. I can't tell Monday from Friday basically when you're on vacation. Like they're both the same. To be honest with you, when you don't have to go to work, which is a great thing. But Kawhi Leonard finally gets moved with DeMar DeRozan. So Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green go to Toronto. DeMar DeRozan and a draft pick go to San Antonio, and we could talk about till we're blue in the face in terms of who won the trade and blah 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 blah. Here's the bottom line, and I'm gonna take the San Antonio part before I get to DeMar DeRozan. I'm going to take the San Antonio aspect of this in terms of Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs organization. I believe that 5 to 10 years from now, Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs organization are going to be somewhere vacationing, somewhere, wherever, and they're going to think to themselves, how did we fuck this up? From San Antonio's standpoint, we had a franchise player, 27 years old, the heir apparent to Tim Duncan, a legit top 3 player, a player who was going to lead us into the next decade, a player who we could build around, a player who we know could be the best player on the championship team, and we couldn't keep him. And we're supposed to be the best organization, not only in basketball, in all the sports. From a Kawhi Leonard standpoint, again, it doesn't. I don't know who is he listening to. Apparently, Uncle Dennis. I wish he would come out and just speak. But from a Kawhi Leonard standpoint, good organizations. Good organizations are hard to come by in the NBA. Okay, there are about 6 of them, maybe if that. 3 or 4, 30 teams. They're about. I'm not even gonna say. There are about 3 or 4 of them. If you're with a top tier organization, you have to find a way to work it out, man. You have to find a way to work it. You have to find a way to make it. I don't buy this aspect. I don't buy that he strictly wanted out because he wanted to play for a big market. I just don't buy that. There's more to it than that. To me, there's much more to it. Again, it might take years for this story to completely come out. Because I just don't know. I just don't know what happened. Again, on the surface, he gets diagnosed. He probably got misdiagnosed with the injury. Tony Parker made comments. Uncle Dennis gets involved. Kawhi says nothing. That's not enough. That's nowhere near enough for us to know what exactly happened in this situation. Okay. I believe that years from now, and Kawhi Leonard will regret how this went down, and will never be as good without each other as they were with each other. That's what I believe. With that being said, I surely, as a Laker fan, would love to have Kawhi Leonard on my team next year. And I'm telling you right now, again, I wanted Kawhi Leonard. I was willing, if I were running the Lakers, to trade Kuzma and Ingram and a draft pick to get Kawhi Leonard. But frankly, this worked out perfectly for the Lakers because now you get to see him. You get to see what he looks like next year. Is he going to be healthy? And your young players get to develop over the course of a year in terms of Ingram, Kuzma, Jason Hart, and those guys. And there are other free agents in 2019. Kawhi Leonard's not the only fish in the pond. I mean, you got Klay Thompson. You have a number of guys that have player options who will be also have a chance to be free agents. Jimmy Butler, Marc Gasol. Those guys to name a few. So worked out fine for the Lakers. But in terms of Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs organization, they both, I think, will rule the day that they split apart and that, they were not able to work this out. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. As always, thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Real Deal Podcast, telling it like it is. I'm out.